This is Tim Staten with Tim Stating the Obvious. What is this podcast about? It's simple. You are entitled to great leadership everywhere you go, whether it's to church, whether it's to work, whether it's at your house, you are entitled to great leadership. And so in this podcast, we take leadership principles and theories and turn them into everyday relatable and usable advice. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode. It's been almost 90 days since my last podcast, and I appreciate your patience in waiting for another episode to come out. Life has been enormously busy lately, as I'm sure a lot of your lives are just as busy, if not busier, than mine. But in those 90 days, I've had some time to think and reflect. I have seen and heard so many negative things in the media and in my own neighborhood, and it seems that that's all people can focus on is a lot of negativity lately. So I started to think that if people thought negatively and focused on negative things, then maybe their life would be filled with those negative things that they thought about, right? So if you think about negativity, it attracts negativity. And I started to think about all the things that I was grateful for and all the happiness in my life and in the lives of others around me that, people couldn't get past seeing the negativity. And then so I even admit I've had a bad habit of always saying sorry for stuff. I know this sounds like a little jump, but it's really not. I've had a really bad habit of saying sorry for stuff, even when I really had nothing to be sorry for because it was out of my control. For example, late to meet somebody, but life, got in the way and not in my control. Like there was an accident on the way to go see somebody, or my kids were having a meltdown one day and it was causing me to be late, has taught me something. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the gratitude attitude mindset, saying that in the past, I have been very, very cynical and pessimistic. I often didn't seek out the good stuff or even focus on being grateful. I was just going through life being bitter and thinking, why didn't I achieve more? Why didn't I have more? And I'm just going to say that if you can't be happy with nothing, then when you start to accumulate things and you start to achieve things, you're still not going to be happy. Those things don't make you happy. You have to learn to be happy with you first and without anything. So then the more that you achieve and you grow in life, the happier you become. So I'll also say that it's taken me many, many years to get to the point where, I have found out that being grateful in any situation has immense benefits. Science has found through brain scans that thinking about being grateful can rewire your brain's functionality. It takes time and effort, but just think about that for a second. Just the thought of being grateful for something can rewire your brain. You don't even really have to be grateful for it, but the thought of being grateful for it starts to already make a physical change in your brain with hormones and neuron transmitters and receptors, and it actually starts to make a physical change as well. So, but I am more of a data person, right? So when people started talking to me about, hey, you can, focus on being more positive. You can hunt the good stuff. You can look for the positivity in any situation. You could find the gratefulness in any situation. I thought it was all really fluff and pie in the sky and really touchy, good feely stuff. And I'm not that type of person at all. And it's really taken me a long time to believe it. But, so what really actually got me behind it is one, doing it and practicing it every day and seeing the long-term benefits of it. And two, the science actually proves that it's beneficial as well. So studies have shown that gratitude is positively correlated to vitality, energy, and enthusiasm to work harder in the workplace. So when I was first into it, we talked about, I was basically on how to relieve stress. So there was a portion of my life where I just started passing out for no reason and couldn't figure out why. The doctors looked at me and said, hey, you're healthy, you're fit. We really don't know why either. Try reducing stress in your life. So I started looking at, ways to reduce stress in my life. And one of the exercises was to think about things that I was grateful for and then to write them down. And I thought it was hokey and nonsense and that, it wouldn't really work. However, it actually did work. If anyone's ever participated in a cognitive behavioral therapy, it's kind of the same way, where it actually takes the the neurotransmitters and the responsiveness of them in your brain and actually rewires them to the bliss center of your brain more directly. So the more you focus on positive things and things that you're grateful for, it actually makes new neurotransmitters and new synapses in your brain to the bliss center part of your brain to work more efficiently. And so that in itself helps increase your response time to happiness, right? As those endorphins and those hormones kick in, your brain can process that faster and your body will feel it faster, and the effects of them are faster. But it does also reduce fear and anxiety, and it does help regulate your stress, right? So it doesn't do it, I'm going to say for me, I didn't notice it immediately. I noticed it, in short-term gains, and then as time picked up, I noticed it with long-term results. So, became less stressed easily, less angered easier. And so if you stick with it, you will eventually notice, the effects of it. And additionally, studies have also found that employees, supervisors, and managers who convey gratefulness in the workplace are willing to take extra steps in accomplishing difficult tasks and are happier when they're working. They also have stronger team cohesion and are more productive while they're at work. And lastly, leaders who practice gratefulness are perceived as more compassionate, empathetic, considerate, and people want to work with those leaders. Naturally, this show is about leadership and leadership traits and principles. And so to start thinking about the gratitude attitude, it's essential for leaders for all the reasons that we just talked about. One, it has the positive effects of reducing stress and making you a more positive person to be around, and you naturally start to appreciate things more and actually truly appreciate them and not just say you appreciate them. The other thing that it does is that, people perceive you as a better leader. For a lot of people, perception is reality. So if somebody views you as a better leader just because you are more grateful for things, and even you convey that gratefulness onto the employees that work with you because you're truly grateful for it, they pick up on that and they will want to work harder too, because then they in turn become grateful for having to be working in an environment that someone's grateful for them. So it's a really great circular effect that happens when it happens effectively and right in the workplace. So if you haven't tested it out, I would highly recommend you do it. So, the question you could be doing is, okay, so what do I need to do to practice to be more grateful, right? And I say that's funny because as people, we tend to focus on the negative aspects. We're very self-critical. We're very quick to judge ourselves, or, oh man, I shouldn't have said that way. Or, hey, you know what? Maybe I should have ironed my clothes a little bit better today. Or, hey, maybe I didn't do my hair right today. And it's just a little off and I don't really like it. And everyone's going to be looking at me kind of funny. Or maybe you're thinking, hey, I can't afford, really nice work clothes, but I really want to get ahead. So I'm going to buy, the most cost-effective work clothes I can. And it's not really up to what everybody else is wearing. So they're going to judge me because of that. Or maybe you start thinking of all these other negative things. None of that stuff really matters. And we also tend to be critical of others too, right? And as leaders, we have to judge people's performance. We also have to inspire people to achieve greater things and push people to achieve greater responsibility and peak performance. That's what we do. So it's easy to be, stuck in a critical mindset of focusing on the negative aspects, and we lose sight of all the positive and all the positive aspects. So there's 3 simple things that we can do every single day. And you can start now, you can start tomorrow to help shift your mindset to be more grateful, right? So the first thing you could do is say thank you more. And this was one of the first things that I started to do personally in small steps was just to say thank you more to people, even in the workplace for simple things. I'd walk around and say, hey, I really appreciate you showing up to work today and you giving it your all, right? You're doing a great job. Thank you for doing that. And to the person that I said it to probably thought, man, he has really lost his mind. I have to show up to work every day. It's kind of my job. I kind of have to be here if I want to get paid. But he's thanking me for showing up. Or even as something as simple as, we have a meeting that we have to prepare for. And the team starts to put the the notes together and the slideshow together and the information paper together. And before the meeting starts, I look at the team and say, hey, I just want to say thank you for getting this together for this meeting today. You know, it means a lot to me that you guys actually did it, and you guys did it well. So thank you. You know, and I really mean it too. I'm not just saying it just to say it, but I really mean it. But all those things that I would used to stick in my mind and not really say out loud, I started to say out loud to people. And I noticed a more positive effect on myself, more so than I found on anybody else. Because now I'm looking at things, I'm like, man, yeah, I'm really grateful that this guy's here. He's really talented. You know, I'm grateful for what he brings to the table. Hey, I'm really grateful that we have a nice building to work in. Hey, I'm really grateful for the fact that, you know, we have some of the benefits that we have. It's not perfect. It's not great. But hey, it's better than nothing. You know, I'm grateful for that. You know, I know people who work in the medical field, and, you know, a lot of people right now, because of the COVID variant and everything else, people are getting burnt out. So there's different tiered levels of bonuses that many hospitals are handing out. And, you know, some people may feel slighted because they didn't get a higher bonus than somebody else. You know, they may feel slighted in that. The organization was trying to do something nice and say, hey, I recognize the hard work you're doing. We'll give you guys a little bonus. And some people may have felt slighted. But you could have also said, hey, you know what? I really appreciate that, because one, you didn't have to. I probably would have quit in a couple months just because I'm burnt out and I don't think you appreciate me. But hey, you know, you threw me something. So I appreciate the fact that you recognize that you needed to do something. So, you know, thank you for doing that. Just something small to say thank you. You know, write thank you notes to people. Not like in emails, but, you know, handwritten emails. And even to my bosses, I started saying thank you more for things. You know, saying, hey, thank you for being understanding about this situation. Or, hey, thank you for, you know, putting up with all of our mistakes that we come up with. I appreciate you dealing with that. Hey, thank you for actually just being who you are, because we could have a worse boss. And so, you know, just by saying those simple things or writing a thank you note to somebody and sticking it on their desk, just saying, hey, thanks for whatever you did, that has a very positive outcome. I would urge you, you know, this week or even tomorrow, if you haven't said thank you to somebody that you work with or that you're around, or even your spouse, right? So when was the last time that you looked at your spouse and said, hey, I appreciate you and thank you for everything that you've done and everything that you do for this family, whether you're just a couple, you know, or you've got kids or you don't have kids, whatever it is, you got a dog. Hey, you know, I'm really grateful that you wake up every day and you feed the dogs so I don't have to do that. Or, hey, I'm really grateful that you do the dishes, because I really hate doing the dishes. Or, hey, I'm really grateful that you do the laundry and you fold the laundry, because I really hate doing the laundry. Or even better, hey, thank you for cleaning the bathroom, because that's disgusting and it grosses me out. So I really appreciate you for you cleaning the bathroom. You know, but when was it? You may think that, right? And you may take it for granted. But when was the last time you actually verbalized and said it? You know, I think you would see a much more positive influence if you actually said it and then also said it and meant it. So just something to think about. So I challenge you this week, if you want to start somewhere, start by saying thank you to somebody for something that you're truly grateful for and letting them know, right? The second thing is pay attention to your emotions. And this is a big one for me. So I'm not really an emotional type person. Anyone who really knows me knows I'm not really that emotional, but I kind of am. I just hide it, right? Because my profession has taught me, don't be emotional, be data driven. And so I have almost betrayed my emotional side for a long time, and I really didn't pay attention to my emotions. So I would get my emotions confused because I didn't know if I was frustrated or angry. It was the same to me. Or I didn't know if I was lonely or sad because that was the same to me. So I would say pay attention to your emotions in the moment when you're grateful for things. It sounds weird to do, but it's actually beneficial. So if you take a moment when you feel, you know, yourself and you're, let's say you're writing a thank you note and you think about what you're going to write and you write out that thank you note. Think about how you actually feel in that moment, right? Like, what does your body language look like? What is your face look like? What does your posture look like? Are you breathing faster? Are you breathing slower? Are you more calm? And focus on actually being in that moment, and focus on actually how you feel and the emotions that you're feeling at that time, because that will also bring apart a very valuable change, because you're recognizing, hey, this is positive and I'm actually feeling the positivity of it. And then that will also play into a longer term. And it was a hard one for me, but it was also a big one for me to really step back and really pay attention to my emotions. And now there'll be times where I'll sit at my desk and I'll be thankful for something, and I will just sit back and I will take a deep breath and I'll breathe and I'll look at my hands and I'll look at my feet and I'll just look around the room and just really be in that moment and think about it. And I'm going to get to another story about what I mean about that at the end, after my last point, which is remember what you appreciate the most. If you don't know, what that starts like, or what even you're thankful for or grateful for the most, pick something simple like, I'm grateful that I woke up this morning, because that is not guaranteed. You are not guaranteed to breathe the next second of the day. You're not guaranteed to wake up tomorrow morning. And we all think we are, right? We all think that in our mind that, oh yeah, I'll put it off till tomorrow because tomorrow's guaranteed. It's really not guaranteed. Just find something that you're really the most appreciative for. And when you're really struggling with something and you feel really down, think about those times and those moments that you are the most appreciative. And then go back to, how you feel about it. Remember that feeling, that emotion that came with it. So going back to another time of when I lived in Germany, I used to go up to the Zugspitze a lot. And that's in Bavaria, right on the Austrian, German, Switzerland border, right down there near Garmisch. And I would go up to the highest point in Germany, up onto the mountaintop. And getting up there, it's crowded. Like there's gondolas that go up there. There's a train that goes up in the mountainside. But I would love to go up there and just sit and listen, because it is extremely quiet. All you can hear is the wind blowing in your ears. You don't hear cars or trucks or noise. You don't hear anything other than the wind blowing. And if you go when it's not busy, you can even hear like the birds flying overhead that are just kind of soaring around. You can actually hear the soar on their wings. And if you go in the wintertime, the fresh snow is there and it's so bright. The sun reflects off of the snow. It's a little chilly, but it's a good brisk feeling, and you breathe in and you can feel your nose hairs kind of freeze up a little bit. Your lungs get a little bit cold. Your feet start to tingle a little bit. And it's just a place that I like to go, and just everything else in the world fades away. And none of the other things matter. And then if you look off the mountaintop and you look down below, everyone looks like little miniature ants. Even the people skiing down the mountain look like little miniature ants. So everybody and everything is minuscule in that moment. And so I used to take my wife up there with me when we were dating, and just go up there and be up there with her. Because to me, that was my happy place. That was the place that I wanted to share with somebody else that was significant in my life, that say, hey, this is like happiness. It's like everything else kind of falls away. And like, I just remember looking over at her and being so grateful for the person that she is and the heart that she has. And so every time that I think about the Zugspitze Mountain, and I think about everything that goes on with what that place made me feel, and then I look at her and I felt the exact same way, that gratitude really, really brought me back to, one, what am I the most appreciative for? How would I really feel in that moment? And what was I thankful for? And that was huge on how that all came together for me in that moment. Now, I'm not saying that is that an everyday thing. No, that is not an everyday thing. When I get down and I feel kind of, funky because there's a lot of negativity around, I just think about those moments and the gratefulness and the gratitude I have. Because, for all the negativity out there, if you live in a free country, in a free world, not so many people are that lucky. So just something to think about. I encourage everybody this week, find something that you want to be more grateful for and practice a mind shift of being more grateful in your attitude, and develop an attitude of gratefulness and have it be genuine. It's not going to happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight for me. It took many years for me to get that way. And honestly, it took many years of my wife working on me too, with that. Because, she used to point out all the things that I was pointing out that was negative. And she was like, look at all this good stuff. And I was like, you're right. I completely lost sight of that. And so, I just wanted to, with all the negativity out there, just focus on being more grateful in your own personal life. And then, if you want, share a story, write a comment down below on something that you were truly grateful for and how that actually impacted, your week. How did it change your week? How did it change your day? You can try to write a grateful journal, write down the things that you're grateful for. If it starts off as one-liners, hey, start off as a one-liner. You start somewhere and then you can build up. So just something to think about as we talked about today's episode of, the gratitude attitude. And before we end, I've already asked you if you could comment about something that you were grateful for and share a story. I really would like to read it on the next episode. I really mean that, because I think we need to be more grateful. And we also need to share more grateful things because it's kind of awesome out there. Even though it may not seem like it, it actually is pretty awesome out there. And you guys are awesome. So share your awesomeness with everybody. But I would like to ask if you could subscribe if you haven't subscribed, liked, or followed, and then share this podcast with one or two other people that you think might like it. And I really hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you come back for another episode. I'm Tim Staten, stating the obvious.